Woo-wee. Great morning. It's time to get it. No other way to describe it. Like, it's just time to get it, y'all. So super excited as we get into Triple M Monday Morning Motivation. Roxy and Aubrey here, and we're here with the intention to get the week started off powerfully. So we've got a great video for you guys today that we're going to be watching. It's actually by Proctor, so maybe I'll have Roxy introduce it because she found it. So what's this video about?
So this video is by Bob Proctor, and really what he's talking about is continuously giving and adding value to everything around us. And he's really talking about a book that's changed his life and how we're all born rich. And when we're able to see that, the more that we're able to give. So excited for it.
Let's get it. Bob Proctor, you guys might know him from The Secret. Epic guy. He's been studying personal development for 50 years. So without further ado, let's get it started. Mr. Bob Proctor.
Lloyd Conant, co-founder of the Nightingale Conant Corporation in Chicago, was a very dear friend of mine while he was alive. And I hold very fond memories of him. He really helped me understand how to get the best out of myself. And one day in 1968, I was sitting in his kitchen, and I asked Lloyd, I said, Lloyd, how did you start this company? Because Lloyd Conant and Earl Nightingale didn't just start a company, they started an industry. The self-help industry as we know it today. It's the largest distribution house of self-help material in the world. And so I was sitting there, and Lloyd started to talk about a book he read. And he said, I studied this all weekend. It's called The Little Green Book. Well, all of a sudden, I wasn't interested in how he started the company. I wanted to know what this little green book was. See, I was into studying. I wanted to know, why did everything in the world happen the way it was happening? And he gave me a copy. It was called The Science of Getting Rich, and it was written by Wallace D. Wattles in 1903. It was, by the way, the book that inspired Rhonda Byrne to make that runaway hit movie, The Secret, that I was very fortunate enough to be in. And I began to study it. In chapter 14 in that book is something everyone should burn into their mind. It's leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. Now think about that. You want to leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. If you just happen to be stopping by the water cooler, give the person that's there a compliment. But it's got to be sincere, merited praise. I'm not talking about flattery. That's pretty hollow and shallow. Do you know that everyone does something well? Start looking for what other people do well. Bring it to their attention. Let them know that you notice it. Give them an idea that inspires them. Leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. And if you see the best in other people, in other companies, in other situations and conditions and circumstances, you're going to be in a phenomenal vibration. You're just going to feel good all the time. Your whole world is going to improve. Bring that idea into your mind. Leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. In other words, make them feel good because you have come in contact with them. It was one of the greatest rules that I've ever learned. The compensation that you get from developing that into your character is phenomenal. It goes beyond the scope of your imagination. If you want rich rewards, leave every person with the impression of increase. See, there is a science to getting rich. And I don't just mean money. I'm talking about all aspects of your life. An abundant life. We're dealing with an infinite source of supply. And the author of that book said, you do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. Think about that. You do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. You see, you could find two people working in the same company for the same sales manager, and they're selling the same product in the same marketplace. One is doing very well, and the other's struggling, and yet they're both doing the same thing. Now, this has puzzled people for many years. What is the difference? Do you know what I have found? I have found that most of the huge corporations do not know what the real top producers are doing. And most of the top producers don't know what they're doing. They're what you call unconscious competence. You see, if corporations knew what the real hard chargers were doing, they would can it and give it to everybody. They don't know what they're doing. You do not get rich by doing certain things. Now, I can paraphrase that. You do not become a real pro in your field by doing certain things. You become a real pro in your field by doing things in a certain way. Think about Tiger Woods. Now, you may not be a great golfer. I'm not a great golfer. I've played a lot of golf, but it's just something that I do periodically. But I understand a bit about the game, and I understand this, that this guy is so far beyond everyone else in his field, there isn't any comparison, and everybody knows that. Do you know he's the best in the world, and yet he's changed his game twice to get better? There was no competition. But you see, Tiger Woods doesn't compete. He creates. When he goes out on that golf course, he's not competing against anybody else. He's competing against Tiger Woods. The science of getting rich, the science of being the best in your field, it's not by doing certain things, it's by doing things in a certain way. Now, if you're going to understand what the certain way it is, it's by law. There's laws that govern this whole universe. And you must understand these laws. And if you don't understand them, odds are pretty good. Nothing of any consequence is really going to happen, because it's going to happen on a hit and miss basis. Now, there's some people, I was one of them, that by some stroke, I don't know really how it happens, I don't know if we're guided or what it is, they just start doing things in a certain way, and they just keep getting better and better and better and better. But they're not able to articulate. They can't tell you why. School doesn't teach this. School does not teach the laws. They do not. School teaches us very little about ourselves. As a matter of fact, Dr. John Mike, who heads up the Montessori school in Fort Lauderdale, is a psychiatrist, and his wife Susan is a psychiatrist. He said that I taught him more about the mind in 1 year than he had learned in 4 years of medical school and 5 years of psychiatric training. Now, I always found that rather interesting, since I just shared with him what a good doctor had shared with me. See, I have learned some of the basics for really improving the quality of your life. That's what thinking into results is all about. It's about the basics. And one of the basics is that you do not become the best in your field by doing certain things. You become the best in your field by doing things in a certain way. You've got to be very calm and confident. You've got to know who you are. James Allen said, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It's the result of long and patient effort in self-control. That's one of the basic qualities of leadership, self-control. You've got to control yourself. Goethe, the German philosopher, psychologist, who really swayed the thinking of the entire Western world, he said, before you can do something, you first must be something. You've got to do things in a certain way. You've got to bring your mind into harmony with the laws that govern your being. You've got to understand that the thoughts that you think control your emotions. And your emotions control the vibration that your body's in, so it controls how you act. If you don't spend a respectable amount of time gaining an understanding of the relationship of the conscious to the subconscious to the body, you're dealing on a hit and miss basis. Life is very short. It can be an absolutely phenomenal trip, but it can also be a massive headache if we don't understand how to make things happen. But the law says what you put out comes back. We just want to put the very best out. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. If you're going to win, you've got to be courageous. I quoted Earl Nightingale in a previous lesson where he said the opposite of courage is not cowardness, it's conformity. It's just going along with everybody else. Don't do what everybody else is doing. You're going to end up where they end up. Nowhere. Struggling to get by. You want to stand out like a beacon on a dark night. You want to make certain that you're one of the most effective human beings that you could ever be. Do things in a certain way. The one point that all great leaders have agreed on, I've quoted them 2 or 3 times, is that you and I become what we think about. It's not just the thoughts that we consciously entertain. We have all kinds of ridiculous, negative, aborted thoughts that come flying through our consciousness. That's not what we become. We become what thoughts we take and internalize. We get emotionally involved in. The thoughts that we let control us. How do we think about our company? How do we think about our job? Don't let everybody around you control how you think about the company. You think about great thoughts about this company. Understand this. When you talk to somebody, you're the company. You're the company. The company's people. Great companies develop great people. You develop great people. You're the people. You do not become the best at what you're doing by doing certain things. You become by doing these things in a certain way. And that certain way is all the way through thinking into results. Make it a part of your way of thinking. Make it a part of your way of life. And you will have a phenomenal life. Make up your mind that regardless of what you did in the past, you're going to do something phenomenal in the future. You see, I did this. You're not talking to somebody that's just read a book and sharing it with you. I had no formal education. I had no business experience. I had 2 months high school. I had a bad work record. And I was 26 and bang, like that, everything started to turn around because I started to study. Now that was many years ago. And I've earned millions of dollars. I built companies, not a company, companies that operate all over the world. And you know something? I don't even think what I've done is that great. It's nothing compared to what I'm going to do. If you really want to make it happen, you got to make it happen every day. When you wake up in the morning, make up your mind today, you're going to do it better than you've ever done it before. You're going to do it in a certain way. A certain way is the best way. But you know something? There's always a better way. What's best today isn't best tomorrow. There's a better way. There's a better way of doing everything. Now, I want to leave you on this lesson with a law. It is an absolute law, and remember, I've said it before. A law is something that operates all the time with every person, everywhere. This is the law of compensation. The law of compensation clearly states that the amount of money you earn is always going to be in exact ratio with the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Just 3 steps. The need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing it. Now ask yourself, is there a great need for what you do? I would say the answer to that is probably an unequivocal yes. There is great need. So that's there and you have nothing to do with it. If you just focus on the second step, you're going to become better at what you do. Every day you're going to perfect it just a little bit. You know something? You're going to be very difficult to replace. Now, there's no one that's indispensable. Okay. I read a poem one time. It says, it was called The Indispensable Person. It said, put your hand in a bucket of water, put it in up to the wrist, pull it out, the hole that remains is just how much you'll be missed. You can splash all you want as you enter. You can stir up the water galore, but take it out in no time. It'll be much the same as before. The idea behind it was that there's no indispensable person, but there's some that are very difficult to replace. I mentioned Tiger Woods. You know, he paid millions of dollars just to show up at a golf tournament. He draws people like no other golfer can. He's the very best at what he does. Make up your mind. If you take care of the second point here, it's the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. You make up your mind, you're going to become very good at what you do. You're going to give it everything you've got. You're going to do things, everything in a certain way. You're going to become very difficult to replace. And you know something, when that happens, your stock goes up. And if where you're working doesn't recognize that, there will be somebody waiting at the door that'll always pay you more. The opportunity's always here. It's always here for the person who masters what they do. You do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. It's a phenomenal concept. It's one that's guided my life for many, many years, and I've been richly rewarded. I live in a healthy body. I have friends on every continent, in almost every major city in the world. I earn all kinds of money. I have all kinds of fun. But you know something? Everything I do in a certain way. I have found, after close to 50 years, that I really don't know much about myself. And I'm excited to learn more. Because as I do, more of my world unfolds. You know, we're something like a flower that blooms. Imagine a rose for a moment. Do you know you can stand and stare at a rose, and it'll completely unfold before your eyes, and you'll never see a petal move. And if you try and force the unfoldment of that rose, you'll kill it. A rose is one of the most beautiful expressions of life. And you are without question one of the most magnificent expressions of life. You do everything.
Awesome stuff. Deep video. Let's get into our takeaways. Callers in, we're going to get some takeaways from you in a second. Rox, what you got for us?
Man, this video was absolutely epic. Some of my big takeaways is really beginning of the video. I loved how he talked about how leave everyone you meet with the impression of increase. You know, for me personally in the past, before I would come into people, and instead of looking at the things that they did well or looked at the things that made them or just anything like positive, in the past, it was like, oh, look at her hair, or look at this. You know, it's just like always in a state of judgment. And really, when you're judging, you're not judging them. It's only an expression of what's in your mind. You know, so the more that you judge, the more that you have ugly, negative thoughts about people, that is just a direct expression of what's inside of you. You know, it says nothing about the person. It only says something about you. You know, so that to me, really powerful. You know, it's something that we get to practice because for me, I still get to practice this every day. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I just look at the best in people. No. Why? Because the habits of judging had been formed for years and years and years. So it's something that we get to do on the daily and to really practice it intentionally. And anytime maybe something negative pops up, learn to catch it and redirect the thought. So I thought that was powerful. I really, really loved that. And then I really loved how he was talking about how you don't get rich by doing things in a certain way. No, he said you get rich by doing things in a certain way, not just by doing things. You know, and that really brightened me up, you know, because for instance, for us, we do Herbalife. And in Herbalife, we all have the same products. We all have the same marketing plan. There's nothing different about like anything. You know, it doesn't matter your gender, your race, none of that matters. But there is people inside of our company that are in the top 1%, that are in the top 2%, 4%, all of those kinds of things. And we all have the same things available to us, but it's not them just doing things, it's the way that they're doing them. It's doing things in a certain kind of way. So I thought that was powerful. And then let's see, I really loved too how he talked about how bringing your mind into harmony with the laws that govern your being. That I think is just powerful, you know, because whenever we start to really become in tune with the laws of the universe, that's when really life begins to unfold for us. You know, it's like he said, if you put negative out, you're going to get negative, like receive negative. If you put positive out, you're going to receive positive. So it's all of that. And then last but not least, I really loved how he talked about when you wake up, make up your mind that today I'm going to do it the best way. Like whatever your best is, he's like, and know that every single day as you wake up, there's always a different best. Always a different best. So every single day when you wake up, give it your best, and you listen to her talk, don't you?
Stay focused.
Stay focused, you guys. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. As people are logging, we do this thing called Periscope, and there's people all around the world that can actually tune in. And when people are directing certain thoughts, you're able more to see where their mind space is at more than anything. So
absolutely. Epic takeaways. Some of the takeaways that I took: leave everybody with the law or the impression of increase. You know, he said, make everyone that comes into contact with you feel good because they come into contact with you. Not that you give them superficial praise, not that you give them something that you don't authentically believe, but you can always find something good in people to point out. And the more you point out the good in people, the more good comes out. So, you know, just like Roxy kind of talked on for me too, I had that mentality of always judging, judge. And I think for me, it would be like, if I judge somebody, it would make me feel better about myself. And that's not how I wanted to operate. So for me, I had to work on, let's find one thing good in everybody that I judge. I got to switch it back right now. I want to create in my mind the pathway of always finding the good, because what you get in life, what you look for in life, you'll find, whether you look for the bad or the good. So for me, that really helped. And then always finding ways, to have people feel good about where they're at, because that's the only place you can be is where you're at. That doesn't mean you can't get better with time, but you can never change your location in this very moment. So why not? Let's work on being the very best that we can and really, really give as much positivity in that moment, because in that moment, people will remember you for one or two things. You made them feel a certain way, or you didn't make them feel a certain way, or you made them feel worse. And the law of increase states that if you make people feel better, that they will remember you for that. And if they remember you for making them feel good, guess who they're going to want to do business with in the future? Guess who they're going to want to have at their events in the future? Guess who they're going to want to, when they're talking about some type of opportunity that's opening up, are they going to want to have the person that made them feel bad or made them feel nothing? Or are they going to give the opportunity to somebody that made them feel good? So remember that. I love when he talked about competing versus creating. Said Tiger Woods, whether you think anything about Tiger Woods, I still have a lot of respect for his golf game. And he said Tiger Woods didn't go out there to compete with anybody else. He went out there to create. He changed his golf swing 2 times when he was already the best in the world. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Tony Robbins asked Michael Jordan, he said, how are you able to compete at such a level? He said, because I never went out there to compete against anybody else. I always went out there to compete against myself to see what was possible. So when you do that, it's never against what anybody else is doing, because you're always going to be you. You're never going to be anybody else. So what's going to happen is that if you wake up every day, like he said, today I'm going to do it the best I've ever done it. Every day, if you wake up with that mindset, that doesn't mean that you're perfect. That doesn't mean that that you don't have any issues, that, you never make a mistake. No, it's just you make it with the mindset of I'm going to do it the best I've ever done it. And also knowing that the best today is not the best tomorrow. So what I get inspired by is not just the people that are good once. I get inspired by people that are great for a period of time. I'll tell you, one of my favorite rappers, I didn't even used to like him when I was young, but now he's my favorite, Jay-Z. When I was younger, I wasn't a big fan. I was actually more of a fan of Nas, if you were familiar with rap. But what about Jay-Z has inspired me is this guy has been influential, relevant for over 20 years in an industry where people rarely last a year or two, let alone get in. So think about that. He's been at the top of his game for 20 years because every day he tries to get better. Because know that your best today, if you rest on it, will not be the best tomorrow. There's always somebody working hard that's eager to take your place. So if you continue work, this is the same in business. This is the same in your relationships. This is the same in your physical results, mental results, finances. Even the dollar today is not worth the same as the dollar tomorrow, inflation. So you got to wake up every day with that mindset of, I'm going to do my best today. I'm going to increase. I'm going to get a little bit better. And if you do that every single day, the law of increase and doing your best, life is going to show up for you like Bob Proctor was talking about. So great stuff. Let's get a few shares from the call-in line. E, if you're ready, let me know. I'm going to unmute you for a second. I know
I'm here.
You there, E?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm here.
His first share on Triple M. Let's work.
Some of the couple of takeaways I took today is really, when you start this lifestyle, it's really learning about the basics. Something that I took away from today's segment was learning the basics. Another thing is self-control. You're not trying to compete with anybody else. You got to learn your self-control in this business, because you're going to start to lose focus. You need to you need to draw it back to yourself. And again, self-control. The other thing that it really struck a chord with me is don't let other people tell you about the company. You are the company. You are Herbalife. So how you present yourself and how you presenting the company. Now, other people might say certain things about the companies is what you believe in. Do you get results? Do you feel great? How you make other people feel when they get on the results? What are you doing to meet other people at their level because you see the vision of where they might be able to get? The last thing that I also, kind of, again, struck a chord and I kind of vibrated with is when he was talking about the rose. I believe we're all roses, and that if you force it to move, you will kill it. Sometimes in this business, like, we tend to know, and I would even speak for myself, like, just because we know the products is great, just because we know what's in the products, we tell people and we give too much overflow, and they won't get it because what they see is the result, and that's what they want to get. And sometimes when you force the rose to move the way you want it to, you're going to end up killing it. You're going to end up, having people walk away because of, the energy that you're bringing isn't in alignment with controlling it. So this is where the whole, self-control comes into play. I mean, those are the couple of things that I took off. I know you guys already mentioned a couple of things, you and Rox, so I really do appreciate being on the call today.
You got it. Great shares, Eric. Awesome stuff. Let's get my man Orlando. I know you only caught a little bit of it, but just give us whatever you got. What you got for us, O?
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Following up what Eric just mentioned about having the self-control. Yeah, when you do force certain things on people that they're not ready for, they will get a bit intimidated, or even lose not so much lose interest, but lose motivation and kind of walk away. But it is important to be kind and patient with them so they can, eventually they may want to come back, or they may still hold interest, and they'll eventually come back. But if not, it's still fine as long as they know you were, genuine in the beginning. And I also learned from my kinesiology teacher. He follows everything that I do with nutrition and health. He gave me an important thing to remember. Try to start, when starting off with clients or potential clients, help them out with the basics first, like seeing if they can get into a habit of drinking water every day. Start them off with that, then progress to other things like eating healthier, and then eventually get on the nutrition plan. So,
epic. Start with the basics. Love it, O. Great takeaways, brother. All right, you guys. Great video today. Periscope was going crazy. We taking over the world. Remember, every Monday we're here. Triple M Monday Morning Motivation. So invite your friends and family. Tell everybody about this call. We're going to post a recording, repost it, send it to people. Give everybody access to what you guys had access to this morning. And then remember, this Wednesday, we've got the Herbalife Nutrition Power Call. We got special guest Layla Jalul, who had an amazing transformation with the products she's going to be sharing in transformation, her favorite products and tips on how she uses them. And also she's going to be sharing how she was able to take the Herbalife opportunity and was able to not have to go to law school. She now makes a 6-figure income with Herbalife, and she lives a very different lifestyle than any lawyer that she would have been. So that'll be Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday. And if you're on Periscope, excited to learn more about how you can get in the best shape of your life with Herbalife Nutrition. And if you're even looking for an extra income opportunity to be able to pay forward results to your friends and family, make sure you hit us up. 310-776-0875. Let's change the world. Herbalife is in over 90 countries, so it's where you're at, and we can make it happen, y'all. You guys, let's have a great Monday. Let's do it. Adios. Peace. Have a good one, y'all.